Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. My name is Andrew Townsend. I am an e-learning video evangelist here at eLearning Brothers. Welcome to our webinar. Today we're going to be talking about getting the game agency games into your storyline project. This webinar will be recorded, so if you have to leave halfway through, we will get a copy of it to you afterwards. Later today we'll send you a recording of the webinar. To talk to us on this subject, we have Adam Cannon, our e-learning evangelist. Thanks for joining us, Adam. We're glad to have you with us. During the webinar, if you guys have questions, please use the questions panel, and we'll try to get your questions answered. I'll also be bringing some of these questions up to Adam for him to address for the group. Just so you know, one of the things we do like to do after the webinar is try to follow up as soon as possible. Sometimes it's just to get feedback. Most of the time, we do want to touch base and find out if anyone needs some one-on-one clarification about our webinar after the fact. And without further ado, I'll go ahead and turn the time over to you, Adam.
Great. Thank you. Well, I thought it would be fun to focus on gaming right now. We've all got games on our mind, whether it's, and due to licensing restrictions, we can't actually say names, but due to that big football game that happened a few weeks ago, and then the worldwide games that have just wrapped up over in that Asian country, and then of course coming up into next month when the sports world is filled with a madness. We all sort of have games on the mind, at least me and in my family we do. And so I thought it'd be fun to kind of talk about the games. And we've got this new partner that we've developed in the last year with the game agency, this new partnership. And so I wanted to go through what the game agency games are like and how to get them into storyline. Now, before we start, one kind of note is the game agency games really are just web objects that you're putting in. So you can put them into storyline, you can put them into Lectora, you can put them into Captivate, you can put them into different versions of storyline, Captivate, Lectora. You can even run them on web servers, things like that. So the skills I'm showing you today are going to be for storyline because it's easier to try to focus on one tool than to try to go and show all the tools in one webinar. But if you know how to put a web object in, essentially you can do it on any of those tools. And so the skills that I'm showing you can be extrapolated. So what we're really going to focus on are the game agency games and how to kind of customize them and how to get them into your course. So we'll go ahead and we'll jump in and we'll get started. And so let me move this over here so that you can see it. Okay, and so I'm out at the eLearning Brothers portal, the library.elearningbrothers.com. And so you should have, with your eLearning Brothers subscription, you should have access to this. Sometimes your front page may look a little different than mine because of, as an employee, I sometimes have access to all the libraries, and you may have different ones, but just understand that it's basically the same. And so I can come up here to my ELB libraries, and about halfway down, there's this link called the Training Arcade. And I click on that, and it brings me up to a web page, and then it has a separate launch button here. And this is going to take me out now to the Training Arcade launch page, to our version of this Training Arcade. And so you get this portal, and this is kind of it's an analytics as well as your game storage site, as well as where you create games and things like that. You can even see the leaderboards. And so it functions a little bit like what you might see in an LMS reporting tool, where you can generate some reports and some scores and things like that. I can see a leaderboard, test users doing really well on all these games. I can see it per game. I've got my drop-down list up here that I can see the different games that have been created. All of these are just games I have created. I can change my date range here if I want to see a leaderboard for a certain date. I can see the analytics of what the email address is, what their rank is, how many sessions, so forth, what their question stats are, how many attempts it took them, things like that. I can look at the settings. This is where I could go in and I could, if I wanted to go in and set my settings and say this is eLearning Brothers. I go in there, I can insert a logo. So I can go out to my, where did I put that logo? Oh, it's probably in my pictures. Yeah. So I can go out here and I can grab the eLearning Brothers logo and save that, and then so that we see that. But then I can, so those are on my analytics, my settings, and then what I really want to focus on are the games. There are 4 game types that you can see, and I got that just by clicking here on this new game button. You can see the 4 game types. There's jump, scramble, match, and recall. And I want to show you really quickly what these look like kind of in their native settings. So I've just opened the demo versions of each of these. So these, some of these might look familiar. You might be used to seeing them like from popular phone games that are out there. So this is the jump game. So I click start and it tells me how I'm going to do this. It's going to tell me left and right keys, and I'm jumping from platform to platform. I will warn you, I am not the best at these kind of games, and so this demo may not last long. I should have brought one of my kids in with me today to play the games, because they can go forever on these games. But basically, I'm just trying to get as high as I can, and there are some questions along the way and some little helps. It talks about so there's some instructions here, things like that. I can click next. Okay, I got it, and then I click start, and it goes, and I can jump from platform to platform. Whoa, and I fell. Okay.
It would be good to note also that these games, you're seeing Adam play these on a desktop through the browser. These games do work wonderfully on mobile.
Yes, I'm just playing them on the browser right now. So I get this question, which represents a fishbone diagram? And I'm going to guess this one. Hit submit. So it says Blastoff. So I can go. If I catch a rocket, I get to go more, and then I land on a question slide. When creating excellent e-learning content, it's important that you, I think it's know your audience. I'm going to click Blastoff. I'm going to just get this one wrong so you can see what happens, and so forth. And so you can see as I play this, I can keep going because I've gotten extra lives. As I fall off the screen, it will shoot me up, but then it ends. It tells me, okay, this is how high I got, so forth. And so I can see the leaderboard. It tells me I'm number 269, and because I'm just playing the demo version that was created and not logged on to anything, not through an LMS or a portal or whatever, it's just showing test user. So now let's look at the next one, which is this match game. So this one is a little bit like, I think Bejeweled is out there that you can see. When you're attempting to design meaningful scenarios, you should think about consequences and perhaps choices. Okay, so I'm just trying to match up. So I take these and I slide them over, and I get points for matching up. Okay, so you see how that one works. It's pretty simple. If I need a hint, I can come down here and ask for a hint. Okay, so that's really the match game there. It keeps a score up here. It's got a timer running, so that I can see what my score is and see how much time I've got as I get things right. That score increases, and we'll just let the timer kind of run down here and move on to the next game. But so that's the match game. It's pretty simple. Every now and then, if I match a question, like I said, I'm not very good at these games, so I'm trying to do it quickly. But so I can go to the next level, and then it gives me a question. True. Okay, I got a power up. So I click to go on. Tells me what that power up does, and then it tells me this one's gonna be blocker tile. So that's the match game. So photo recall. We click start here. This is one of our newer ones, and it says you'll be presented with a series of pictures to study quickly but carefully. Okay. So we click next, and we say done. So I study the picture and I say, okay, ready. Orange is the best color. True. You can see I can remove one answer here if I want to spend 443 points. I'm going to say all 4. Okay, ooh, this is a tough one. This is a big photo with lots of images. So again, not quite, missed that one. Oh, missed that one. Good. So again, you see, I got 2 right. I got 50%. I can see what my leaderboard is. This one, in this case, it's game data, and my rank is number 7. So that's photo recall, and you can create your own photos. And we'll go through how to sort of do a little bit of customization here in just a minute. I just wanted you to get a feel for these games. And so Scramble is essentially a word or letter scramble, whether it's sentence or word. So we can say, let's play. So we can say, adult learners enjoy connecting. I don't know, we'll just, okay, obviously I blew it. Enjoy connecting and sharing their experience too. Something like that. Enjoy connecting and sharing to their experience. I don't know, close enough. Oh, connecting to their sharing and experience. We'll try that. To their experience and sharing. Like I said, I'm not very good at this. Oh, I have no hints.
You obviously didn't read the material beforehand.
Obviously, I didn't study beforehand. And sharing their experience. Yay! Oh, it was sort of a weird sentence structure. Connecting to and sharing their experience.
I see.
I can go in here and say audio narrate. This one you have to know how to spell the words. So yeah, I got it wrong, right. Okay, I got 2 again. I see the leaderboard here. I can play again if I want. For whatever reason, that leaderboard's not working on this one. But anyway, so you get a feel for what the 4 games are. So now when I come in, I can go in and I can see the games here. So over here on the left, I can see that I've got those 4 demo games, Training Arcade, Jump, Match, Recall, and Scramble. There's also a few games that I've started to create here. An animal quiz, that's the Jump game. You can see that there's some information already created in there. There's a music trivia game, that's the Scramble game. And then one called Don't Drop the Plates, that again. So let's go through the process of creating a new game, and then we'll look through this. So I want to create, well, before I do this, let me just pause for a minute and see if there's any questions.
No questions at this time about the game agency games. So
great.
You're covering up just great.
Good. Okay. And like Andrew said at the beginning, if you have any questions, just feel free to jump in and ask them there in the questions panel. I know sometimes I get on a roll and I get going pretty quick, but I've told Andrew he can jump in at any time. So we're going to jump into new game, and we're going to create just a match game. Okay. Here I can see the type. Here's where I give it a game name. You notice that all along you've got these little question marks. You can hover over them and they will tell you the information, a little bit of information about it. Choose a name for your game. This is how you'll identify your game in the admin panel. Max character limit is 60. So for this one, maybe I want to say, getting ready for the big game, not Big Bang, game. And then it'll let me create a URL. I could go in and I could change that URL if I wanted. I could just say, big game. If I could spell today, that would help. And then I can copy that URL and paste it in a browser or paste it anywhere from here. or, but you notice I can only change the very last slot of the domain name. I can change how many seconds they're given per level. It's got a 5-second minimum. I can change how many levels the users can play. So anywhere from 1 to 10 levels. I can select the number of pre-game questions per level. So this says in the game, questions will be asked before each level, giving users the opportunity to earn boosts. So if you remember in the match game, as before each level, I was asked a question, and if I got it right, I got a boost. So there's a minimum of 1, a maximum of 4. So I could say I want there to be 1 pre-game question and then in-game questions. This is questions that will appear as the user is playing. So maybe I want 4 here. Points required to pass, I will say 75%. Do I want to show the leaderboard? Yes. I want to randomize the questions. This is where I can require users to register before playing. I can say yes or no. In this case, I'll say no. And here's where the information pop-up comes. This is where I can give it a title. And it shows you a little bit, just kind of on a white background here, what it's going to look like. And then I can type that in. That gives me a little bit. Again, tells me a max character limit for each of these, 25 for the title, 295 for the body. And this is just the informational pop-up. This is optional. If you want to provide a user with any special instructions or context to the game, if you want to exclude it from the game, you just leave it blank. Then over here is where I can select the theme. Now, unfortunately, with these game agency games, they're not as fully customizable as, say, some of our templates, our eLearning Brothers templates that you might be used to. We're only given a couple of themes here. We're given underwater and origami. So I kind of like the underwater, perhaps. I can select an audio track, but again, I can't put my own in. I have to just choose from the ones that are here. I can test them. I assume you can hear that as it's playing. So that's the forest music. Maybe I want a puzzle music. I can change the volume, things like that. Now, down here on the splash screen is where I can change some of the information. This is just the first screen that appears. So this is where I can brand it a little bit. This is where I can go in and upload my logo. And I can go in here and say, I want this black one. Okay, I want the game title to be text, or if I've got an image, I could put it in there and I could say, put it in like that. I could even go choose a background. So if I wanted to go out to my eLearning Brothers site and go get a stock image and say game, and maybe I choose a sport, since that's kind of what I'm focusing on. And maybe I choose this image here. Oh, but I want a vertical one because this is a vertical game. So I want to say my aspect is vertical. And so maybe I want something like this that I can choose. And I download it. Pay attention to where it downloads. And then when I'm back here in this game agency, I just want to save it. Okay. And now I can go get that image. What did I call it again? Oh, it's right there. So I can bring that in. Oh, it says, and it tells me that the images can't be more than 5 megabytes in size. But anyway, you get the idea that I can go in and I can create an image that will be in this splash screen. I'm not going to spend a lot of time right now digging around for images there. I'll show you on some of the other games I've created what that is. But the important thing to know is that information then that only shows up once. It's really this theme is what's in the play of the game. This splash screen is just the very beginning slide of the game. So as I come in here, then my next tab is the questions tab. And this is where I can go in and I can add questions. And I can choose multiple choice, multiple select, or image match for this one. I can choose an image if I choose to have it there. I can even choose audio if I wanted to have some audio read to me. I can do that, and then I can type in the answer. So I can type that in. I can choose the answers. I can randomize them. I can add another answer. I can have as many answers here as I feel are necessary. But I always have to make sure that I mark one of them as correct. I can have multiple correct by selecting the multiple boxes, but I always have to make sure I have one correct. So then I can click save.
If you forget, it will remind you, hey,
Right.
You forgot to mark one correct.
And it goes back, and you notice when I click save, it put this little red dot up here on the game info tab. And it tells me that something is not right. So that something needs information before it can save. And it was because I didn't choose a number of levels. So if I go in here and I say one level, now I click save, it goes away. And now I see the publish tab up here. So I can click publish. I can make the URL private where it couldn't be shared. I can also download the SCORM files if I want to download them to run in my LMS, or I can just copy this, and now I can come out here to a tab and paste it in, and we can see. So this right here is what would be the splash screen. You can see that here's my big game. I tap to start playing, say okay, gives me some instructions, and now, oh, I got that one wrong. Okay, so that was my pre, then I tap anywhere. And you see it talks about tapping instead of clicking because it is designed for mobile use. Okay, and so very quickly you can see that, so that's quickly how I can go in and play the game. And I'll show you on this music trivia game, for instance. This was the Scramble type game, and here I've downloaded an image in the background, and so we'll show you how that one works, so you can see where that looks. So I can go over here and I can copy the URL and paste it in, and then you see this is where the splash screen comes. So this is where you get the logo and everything, but that only appears until I click the start button or the let's play, and then I go back to whatever the theme is. So that's something to remember, that splash screen on your game, the splash screen is what appears right at the beginning. The theme is what happens during the gameplay. Only one of those can really be customized to your own, where you can upload images and so forth. So now I've got that game. I grabbed the URL for that music trivia game, and I come in here to my Articulate project, and I want to insert or go to a new slide, maybe just grab a basic blank slide here, and I'm going to insert this web object, and I put that in, say okay, and very quickly we can, because this is a web object, I won't be able to preview it, so I have to publish it and see it, and we'll just say big game. We'll publish it, shouldn't take too long here. All right, 9, 10, 11, 12, there we go. Now I can view the project, and again as I go, oh, probably didn't, I need to put in a trigger to get to that slide, so we'll go from here, we'll go back here and we'll say on this button, we're going to change the trigger to jump to slide, that slide, when user clicks option 1. Now we'll publish it again. And while we're doing that, do we have any questions while we're waiting for this to publish?
There's a few publishing questions that have come up. Questions about how this information can be implemented elsewhere, for example, in an LMS. You showed a little bit of the export settings, but how can one make sure that those results are showed in their LMS or being reported where they need to go?
So they're talking about this, the analytics are reported. So what I'm looking at, as you look at these games, remember on that Publish tab, you have your LMS, your SCORM files here that you can download. And when you download those will publish into an LMS, publish the information. And I haven't actually played with putting these into getting the reporting out in an LMS. So I don't know exactly how it functions. If it gives you all of this information here, that is a good question that if we save that one for a recap, I can go do some testing.
Sure, but it does export in SCORM 2004 3rd edition and SCORM 1.2.
Correct. Yeah, so as we look at that publish, it does, and it only does the SCORM versions. We don't have an XAPI, or the game agency hasn't given us an XAPI plugin yet, or CMI5. Okay, so this is published now. We go view the project, and I go and I click option 1, which takes me down to my game, and you can see it's now here playing within my storyline project. You can see the frame around it with the next and previous buttons, but I can also just start it up. Click OK, click Let's Play, and I don't even know who this is. Oh, I know. Yeah, now I know. Kid. I'm too old for this person.
Too old for Kid Rock.
Too old to know who Kid Rock is. So you see now I'm playing right in the game itself, or right in storyline itself. So it's really that simple to get the game into your storyline project. It tells me I've got 10 questions here. Something like this. I probably got this one wrong, but because I think oh, no, that's right. Guns N' Roses. Anyway, so that's real quickly how to get your games into your storyline project. Just remember that as you put it in there, you've got to have a navigation to the game and out of the game. So once it's in here, I can create a trigger that, that will do something with that. If I put in, for instance, insert a button, I could say show layer and have it show a layer on top of it that gives us some instructions, whatever, or have some things like that. But that's really how simple it is to get the game into your storyline project. It's just a matter of, it's really, most of it is done out here in the game agency interface that you get to off of our page, and then you just copy and paste that URL into your storyline project. But again, some things to remember are that the gameplay itself is not customizable. I can't change this character. I can't change the colors or this background that you see. So I can't go in and make that part of it look like the rest of my storyline project. I can change this opening splash screen to look like my storyline project, but I can't change the gameplay itself.
Likewise, part of that adjustment is that the verbiage, there was a question, does tap versus click verbiage, can that be edited? The answer is no. That's part of the gameplay that's pre-programmed in there, and that can't be changed. So hopefully that doesn't cause too many problems as people are trying to figure out the difference between tap and click. There's other questions, more questions about getting the responses, collecting that information. So once you've implemented your game into Storyline and you send that out to all of your users, all of your information, all of the data from all of their gameplay, is that sent to a Storyline database, or is that just collected inside of the game agency? And if not, can you export that elsewhere? And I'm assuming that has to do with how you use the SCORM export settings.
Right. If you do it on the SCORM, it's you can theoretically do the export out to an Excel file or to somewhere else. If you're just doing it like I've done it, where I didn't publish a SCORM and I just copied the URL and put a web object in, that's the only place you can get it is here on this game agency analytics page. And as far as I can tell, as far as I've been able to ascertain, there isn't there is an export button there, so I can export that out into an Excel file. So you can see that with my question types and my player stats for those games. I can do that export by clicking this little menu button out here on the right and doing export, and then taking that out and opening it with Microsoft Excel. So again, one of the things to think about is the purpose of these games, and is to give you sort of a ready-made game that's quickly customizable with your own questions. It's not going to be, not going to be able to maybe have all the functionality you want, but if you need a quick, fun game, particularly if you're looking at mobile usage, this is a fun way to put a game in quickly to do, I'd use them for knowledge checks, maybe some pre-testing, things like that, to draw in the users. But there's obviously other ways, including we have some game templates of our own that are much more customizable, but have different ways of gathering analytics. So we're not saying that this is the only way to put a game into your courses. We're just saying this is one way. And so you can see here, this is the Excel file that it exported to, these analytics for this Training Arcade Scramble game. And I can do the same thing for the, for the user, the player stats, that I can go out and grab those and so forth. And it just opens right in Excel and it tells me that information. So then I could take that, create a CSV, and dump that into any sort of data file I need as well. Okay, that's really kind of the gist of what I wanted to show you today is how to bring that in to Storyline, how to use it. So understanding the two tools, this game agency tool off of the eLearning Brothers website, and then understanding how that information comes into Storyline are all important information. And there is some help files out here that you can go to use the game agency authoring tool. We think it's a great partnership that we have with them. There will always be more games coming. In fact, they've just bumped it from 2 to 4 in the last few months, and so there are more coming down the line. So keep an eye out there. But it is something that can be very useful in enhancing your e-learning and making it more interactive.
There's been a lot of questions about the ins and outs of the games, what kind of options, questions, customizability can be done, how quickly they are to be edited, and other things. And so I wanted to make sure you guys know where to get those answers. So I'll go ahead and put this up on the screen. If you give us a call, we want to show you what we can do. We want to show you everything there is to show you about these games. Give us a call. There's the number on the screen. You can also send an email to info@elearningbrothers.com, and we're happy to take some time and get those questions answered for you. We definitely want to make sure that all of your questions are being answered. So give us a call, send us an email. You can also go to elearningbrothers.com, and underneath the libraries, there's the Training Arcade. You can click on and learn more about that. Anything else you wanted to add, Adam? Yeah,
as well as all of what Andrew said, one thing I would suggest is if you with your eLearning Brothers subscription, go in here and play with them. It doesn't take long. I created this 3-question animal quiz in just a few minutes. I grabbed some images from the stock image library. It took me a minute to find ones that were less than 5 gigs or 5, whatever size it was. I don't remember.
5 megabytes.
5 megabytes. But just go play with it and see how fast you can do it. And the nice thing is once you got it published, you can just grab that, copy it, and paste it right into a browser window and see it right in action right as you go.
Easily implemented into your software, your authoring tool of choice.
And so it's not very easy to mess things up. And so go in and play with it, see what it does, see if you can get some of those questions answered. And then, like Andrew says, give us a call, and we've got people who will be happy to walk you through and answer your questions as they pertain particularly to your implementation a lot better than I can answer sort of in a general setting like this.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you so much, Adam. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. Give us a call so we can answer your questions, and we'll talk to you later. Have a good one.